Hey guys, welcome to this video. This video is going to be going over the Reading Topographic Maps Gizmo assignment that was assigned on the 25th. It's due on the 26th. So how this works is you go to the week 23 folder and then select on the Reading Topographic Maps Gizmo. You can get to the Gizmo two ways by clicking on this Explore Learning link or going to my document. Once this opens up for me, you can also click on the link that's in the title. So here, if I click on this, it'll take me straight to the topographic map I need. So I'm going to click Launch. And this is what you should see along with your paper. So as in the past, each answer is going to need to be in the orange boxes, and then any action steps you need to do on the gizmo with something you need to touch or play or move around, adjust is going to be highlighted in blue, indicates it's an action step, so you don't miss it. And like I've said before 100 times, this assignment looks like a lot, but mostly is wording to tell you instructions. Most of your exercise here and what you're trying to learn is based on your observations and just following instructions. So don't be overwhelmed by the fact there's a lot of blue or there's a lot of wording here. Don't be overwhelmed by that. It's very simple. You just need to follow instructions and stay focused. So let's get started here. All right, so the goal for this is to teach you how to use and read topographic maps, which we've been talking about in class. So you should, at the end of this lesson, understand how to read a topographic map and decipher what is going on in different locations on the map based on the contour lines and areas of the map. So in this first warm-up part, let me just say this right now. There are no writing steps you need to do. There are no answers you need to do for this warm-up part. So you do not need to answer anything. It's simply showing you how to use every tool that you're going to use in this lesson. So you can start with the rotate, zoom, add, subtract, contour intervals, and water level. So I'll walk through these real quick. So with the rotate tool select, click and drag the map to rotate the landscape. So I click on rotate. And it doesn't matter which map I click. If I click, I can drag it and rotate it around to get a different angle on it. Next, it tells me to zoom in and zoom out. So if I click zoom in, I'll get a magnifying glass. Again, it does not matter what image you click on. It will zoom in regardless to get a better look. If you want, you can zoom out. All right, and then the add and subtract button, click it several times. It'll show you that you can add landscape to your hill. So this is how you add landscape or take it away. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'll click add. So this is adding landscape. So if you look at this picture right here, you can see that the highest point is 750. So I'm going to go to the low point over here in the corner and start adding some lands. And as you can see, I'm beginning to make my own little hill over here on the side. Now, if I want to get rid of it, I can just hit subtract. All right, and it'll lower the land, and you can make a valley that way, like this. So I'm clicking it a bunch of times. I just made a valley through the middle. All right, so the contour interval is how much each line represents. So right now, each line on here represents 50 meters. If I want to change that, I can by increasing it here and decreasing it like this. That way, so if I want each line to be worth 100 meters, I can do it like this. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, and so on. Or if I want more specific, drag it down. The water level will increase the water starting from the lowest landmark on there. So you see how it's starting here. And the more I increase the water, it's going to fill in from the bottom up. So with this one, I just made a river. So I have a contour on the side of a hill and a valley in the middle with now a river flowing through it. If I raise it all the way up. And this is going to help us figure out the exact height of some locations on this assignment. So like I said, the whole purpose of this is solely to make sure you understand how to use those tools and how to get around the map. A couple things that I do want to point out is that be careful on the buttons you click on. For example, if I click on reset, that will reset my rotating view only. So if I get moved around, I can click reset and it'll snap the map back to where it was. If you click on new, it will randomly generate a new map. As you can see, as I keep on clicking, it's randomly generating new maps. Now, what you want to be careful about doing is don't hit flat. All right, don't hit flat unless it tells you to. There are a few times where it says to click flat. When you click it, it's going to wipe out everything on the map. So you have flat ground. If you check out the horizontal view, it'll show you what it looks like from the side. So from the side, you can see that this is a hill that's sloping down with a steep top. If you want to get rid of the texture, you can. So it's just a straight up map. That's fine too. But as you can see, as you change, it will come up with different maps. All right, so that's the walkthrough at the beginning. That's how you do everything to start. All right, so now we can get into the questions. So first one, activity. Again, super important that you get these down here. Click start flat, set contour to 50, water to 0. So I'm gonna click on the flat button here. My contour is at 50 and my water is at 0. First up, it says select add, then click the center of the landscape exactly 4 times. Use the horizontal view and zoom to identify the landscape. So I'm going to click add. Now again, it does not matter which picture you click in, but to the center of the map, the best you can. Click exactly 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You should have made something that looks like this. So you might not be able to tell what you made right away, but if you use the horizontal view, that will really help. So what did you make? Think back to the land structures that we've had. What kind of land structure is this? Should be pretty simple that you made a hill. So type that in here. All right. And then, like I've mentioned before in these videos, I'm not going to go type in a lot of answers. I'll type in a few here and there, but I basically want to go over this so you understand how to do each part. Don't come here looking for me to do every answer for you. Okay. So next, you're going to look at each contour line on the horizontal view on the left. What do you notice? So on the left here, this is my horizontal view. All right. You might want to zoom. I'm going to suggest that you zoom in a bunch. All right. So you can see that the lines start long here and get a little shorter each time. That could be something you notice. And it'd be something good to write down. So what do you notice over here on the left-hand side? That's what I'm looking for. All right. Next, we're going to be doing some calculating. Notice that one contour line is labeled elevation. This is the index contour. The elevation is given in meters above sea level. because the contour interval was 50, each line above the index contour represents an elevation gain of 50. So what that means is I'm going to look at the picture on the right over here. So I'm looking at the flat picture on the right. You see where it gives you the index contour of 500. That means that that line all the way around, everything at that line is 500 meters above sea level. So then every additional line in front of it and behind it is 50 meters greater or less than 500. So we're going to do simple counting up because each contour line represents 50. So if this one's 500, the next one is 550, and the following last line is 600. So that's your answer here. All right. So what is the highest point on the hill is 600. What is the elevation to the lowest? Then you're going to count backwards from 500. 500, 450, 400, 350, 300. So everything here is 300. So 300 would be your answer. Now, with the maximum height of the hill, if you think about it, when you look at the map, right, that line represents at the point of that line, it is at the tallest point, it's 600. Now, inside there, there's still land that we don't know how tall it is. So there could be more land inside there that goes up. If you think about a peak of a mountaintop, it goes up and up and up and up and up until that very peak on the top, and that's the highest point. So we don't know how much it goes up inside this last area, but what we do know is that if it went up higher than 50 meters, then we'd have to have another contour line. But since there's no contour line inside that 600 mark, then we know that the final height has to be somewhere between 600 and 649. So since there is no circle inside 600-meter mark, and the tallest point has to be between 600 and 649 meters. Because again, if it was taller than 650, you would have another ring inside there symbolizing that it went up. And now we can check our work here. We can check to see if we are right. So we are estimating that the hill is somewhere between 600 and 649 meters. So if you look here, the water level, you're going to raise it until you get to the closest 10 meters before the hill disappears. So you can see that if I raise the water level all the way up, my hill disappears. It's gone. All right. So the lower I sink it down, you can see that the hill pops up. And right there is the last point before it sinks. So it's between 610. If you go from 610 to 620, that little green dot in the middle of the screen there goes away. So we know that the final height of the hill is 610 meters. So 610 meters would have to be the final height of the hill, which falls inside the range that we estimated. Okay. So next up, we're going to reduce the water level back to 0, click flat, and then we're going to do the subtract button in the center. Exactly 3 times this time. So again, I can't tell you how important it is to follow directions in this. So as long as you set it up right, it'll be right. All right. So it says water level 0, click flat, and subtract button 3 times. So water level goes back to 0. I'm going to click flat again. I'm going to go to subtract. and click on the center 3 times. So what you should notice is that instead of the hill getting taller, you don't see anything coming up on the left-hand side over here. So the hill must be going down. So if we look, this provides a little bit of depth on the left-hand side over here. And you can see that we've made a hole. We made a depression, like a crater in there, because 250 is the highest point. So then if it goes down 50 every time, this is going to be low inside here. So you made like a crater or a hole. That's what you put here. Now remember, we draw these on our contour maps with these little lines like this, with these little, like, what look like, kind of to me, look like teeth marks. That mean that it's going down, down, down. So based on the contour lines, all right, what's the deepest point? So remember, they are 50 each. If it starts at 250 on the top, you go down 50 every line. So 200, 150, 100. So this lowest ring right here is 100 meters. But we don't know if it goes any deeper than that. So this one would be 100. Check with the water level slider. What's the lowest elevation? So you're going to slide the slider until it overtakes and passes that bottom line. Would be at 100. So the first part that you can notice water, all right, not 10, not 30, not 50. Oh, there it is, 60. So at this depression, you can see that tiny little dot right there. So that tiny dot is the lowest point is 60. It checks out because in order to have another line, the lowest point would have needed to be 50. And then we would have drawn another circle inside the line. But since it's 60, we don't have to draw another circle. And we know that the lowest point on this map is 60 meters. So that's what you put there. So that takes us through activity 1, or activity A, I should say. Remember, if I went too fast over any of this part or you need to say it again, that's the beauty of YouTube. Pause it, rewind it, listen to it a few times. You don't have to get this on the first try through, but I do expect you to gain an understanding of what to do by watching this. So now we're going to start on activity B. So if you need to go back and watch and get pause and rewind to make sure you're done with activity A before you move on, do that now, and then come back to this point in the video and move on. So activity B. It says get the gizmo ready. Click flat and select horizontal view. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of my water. Click flat and horizontal view. So it should look like this. Oops, wrong button. All right, create. Use add and subtract tools to create an asymmetrical mountain similar to the one shown. So that's this one on the right here. Make it a little bigger. So asymmetrical means it's not the same. So it's not like the hill we did on the first one where it was equal on both sides. So on the right side of the mountain should be steep and the left side of the mountain should be gentle. Around the page. So what that means is if you look at this picture, you see how on the left side of it goes up slowly, but on the right side it's a steep drop. So here's how we make that. You use the add button and you kind of click and move your mouse up to the corner, and then you click a bunch at the end. So what I'm going to start like in the lower left-hand corner here. I'm going to click, 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 and move my mouse up So you can see that I'm creating a hill. And then when I get to a certain point, I'm just going to add a lot of land to make it steep. So this is an example of an asymmetric hill. If you want, you can carve it out a little bit more. All right, so you don't want your hill to look like this. You see what I mean? This is not asymmetrical. This is similar on both sides. That's not good. So one more time, if I click flat, I click add. I'm going to click and move my mouse to the upper corner to create, and keep clicking as I go to create this asymmetric view. And then when I get to the upper corner, I'm going to click a bunch of times to add land. So it gives me a steep side on the right and a gentle side on the left. One more time. I'm going to click as I go up. I'm going to add a bunch right there. Sorry about that. All right, so there's my hill with my steep side on the right and my gentle side on the left. So again, it can look like mine or it doesn't have to. It depends, all right? So as long as it looks something like this picture, that's fine. All right, so we're going to compare the landscape on the map. How does the spacing of the contour lines relate to the steepness of the mountainside? So if you look here, the steep part is on the right hand of this map, and the gentle part is on the left. So if this is my peak, matches this point here, you can see that the steep part, look how close these lines are. They're stacked on top of each other. And then the gentle part, you can see that there's a lot of space in between them. So we talked about that in our notes and in the ed puzzle that we watched as a class, that the steeper the slope is, the closer together the contour lines are. The gentler the slope, or the less steep it is, the farther apart they are. All right. This part here, right, we want to help the hiker get up the hill. So the hiker here is on the right. All right, and it says if you hover your mouse over it, double click to edit. So for part A, what I want you to do is I want you to double click to edit, and then we're going to select the drawing or the scribble tool in order to draw our own line. Now again, a hiker wants to climb the mountain. He's afraid of steep slopes. However, you can make that change. Now I think that's a typo. All right, so on the map, what I want you to do is use the scribble tool to draw the gentlest route on the map to the top of the mountain. So this requires you to do two things. One, it requires you to identify the height of the mountain. So the top of the mountain is the smallest closed circle, which is in the center of the map. Now, if we want to go up the steepest edge, remember, steep edge means that the lines are close. The gentle side means the lines are spaced apart. So you're going to want to draw a line through the gentlest incline. So you want to connect a line between the points that have the farthest space between them. So what I'm going to do is follow my lead. Is you're going to double click on the map. It's going to open up this drawing map here. At the top, you have the line tool. If you click on that, you can go down to the bottom and select scribble. That will allow you to scribble. So this allows you to draw in any pattern you want, as you can see me doing on the side over here. So I want to draw the pathway to the top of the hill through the least steep parts. Now we know that the steep parts are the ones where the lines are the closest together. So I'm going to go ahead and get a shape here to help us out. So the closest part of the lines is right here. All right, so we don't want to go there because remember he said he's afraid of the steep slopes. So that'd be an example of a place we don't want to go. So you might want to trace a path starting with the hiker. I'm going to start this off, but I'm not going to finish it. And you want to get, let's see if there's a check mark. There's not. Here. So you want to get to where the smiley face is because that's the tallest point on the map. So you start with the scribble and you trace like this. So this is far apart, so I want to go here, all right? And I'm going to stop here because I want you to finish the rest of the course. So this is not the answer, but this is how you start. And when you save it, you'll see that I can see where you drew on the map. And what would make it easier for me even is if you change the color of the line to something like red or yellow or green, something I can see easily. All right. And if you have a problem where you click save and close and you don't see it, go back into the map and make like a tiny adjustment. Like maybe move your line a smidge or move the picture like a little bit and then click save again. Like make one small change to it and then hit save. So remember, you want to get to the top of the mountain. So what is the contour interval of this map? Let's look closely. So we want to know how much each line represents. All right. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want to figure out by using math how to do that. So if we get 250, 300, 350, 400, 450, 500. All right, so you kind of have to start to guess in between. So if you count by 50s, it works. But if you count by hundreds, like this would be 250, 350, 450, 550, 650, 750, you know that doesn't work. All right, but you know that if you count by 50s in between, 250, the next line would be 300. Next line will be 350. The following line will be 400. Next one, 450. Now you're at 500, which is what is marked on the map. So the contour lines, the gradient is 50 meters. Now, if you keep going, we want to know what this highest point on the map is. So we'd have to go count by 50s, continue. So this would be 550, 600, 650 is the tallest point we know. So everything inside this last peak where the smiley face is, it has to be between 650 and 699, because if it got to 700, it would make another closed loop. So we know that is the height of the mountain. So what is the maximum possible elevation? It would be somewhere between 650 and 699. All right, so on this last point, we're going to calculate the gradient. So the gradient of mountain size is a measure of its steepness. Like the slope of a graph, the gradient is calculated by dividing the vertical rise by the horizontal run. If the rise is measured in meters and the distance in kilometers, the units for gradient would be meters per kilometer. So what is the contour interval on this map here? So if you look, you can see that 400 is a mark, and so is 800. So you got to kind of figure between the points. All right. 400. This would be four. If I go by 50s, 450, 500, 550, 600. Oh, that doesn't work. So what if I went by hundreds? 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. That would work. So each contour line is 100. So the elevation at point A is right here on the map. So if this is 400, you count backwards 1. So this would be 300. Then what is the distance? Sorry, the elevation at B is, if this is 800, then the following one would have to be 900. Now, what is the elevation change between A and B? So that means you're going to have to subtract. Subtract 900 minus 300, and that'll give you your answer here. So finally, this is where you do a little bit of the math. All right. So if the horizontal distance between A and B is 2.8 kilometers, what is the gradient? So it told us to calculate the gradient is to measure the steepness. So like the slope, the gradient is calculated by dividing the rise by the run. So the rise is measured in meters and the distance in kilometers. So rise over run. So your rise is here, is what you got for this answer, which should be 600. 900 minus 300 is 600. So what the gradient is dividing the rise, which you calculated in elevation here, divided by the run. So the rise is the horizontal distance. The rise is the vertical distance, which you measured here as the elevation is the vertical distance. And then the horizontal distance is the run, and it's measured in, the rise is measured in meters and the distance in kilometers. So you do rise over run. So 600 divided by 2.8 is going to give you your answer for your gradient. All right, I expect you to figure that one out on your own. So you just put that in a calculator, type the answer in there. And then you're all done. You're going to go back to Schoology, smash that submit button, and you are done. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me via Schoology, and we can set up a time on time to meet on Google Meet. Watch this video several times. Make sure you get the most out of it. And if you get stuck on a question, find that question on the video, watch it a few times, and go from there. If you have any questions on problems, please reach out to me, and please make them specific. Telling me, Mr. P, I don't understand this at all. I don't get this. That doesn't help me at all because I don't know how to help you. So you need to tell me like, hey, on number 3, I can't figure out how to solve for the gradient, or on this one, I can't make a map that looks right. How do I do that? Give me something specific that I can help you with. All right. So hopefully this video helped, and I will see you guys in class on Monday. Tuesday. Make that Tuesday.